Hello and welcome back to Yin Yang Gemini. I realized that I forgot like two videos for the Grasp Bird's Tail from Yang Style Taiji Chuan little um, educational little playlist, the sort of how-to one. I realized there's two videos I pretty much forgot. I did the individual ones and the circles and all this. I didn't put it all together with all the arms and then show kind of everything how to move with back and forth and the sort of taiji walking with it too. So I'm going to rectify that now. I'll show you a couple different angles, both hands. It'll just be kind of upper body right now, and then we'll go kind of switch the angle a little bit and put another one out with just you can actually play this just kind of going back and forth, and then you can switch your feet and then play it going back and forth. It's almost sort of like Tuisho, which is the push hands. Shin's drinking water, which is good. It's sort of like a push hand shadow boxing. So you get shadow boxing and all that. This is almost like that for push hands. I mean, you can sit there for Swijo and do shake, shake, turn, pull up. You can practice all that sort of on your own. This is a way to kind of help with push hands with that too. Now, the playing the routines can help with push hands or the martial applications and everything too. But Grass Bird's Tail is sort of just the fundamental. You're gonna play push hands. And everything, you got to get a grasp of Grass Bird's Tail, Grass Sparrow's Tail. And this is sort of way just you really get into practice with that as well. And probably more importantly, like I've probably said before, really getting you involved with the fundamentals of the 8 energies for Taiji. Penglu Jian, the ward off, the roll back, the press squeeze, or push are the north, south, east, and west of the 8 energies for Taiji. You get a hold of those, you start really feeling those, and that starts having everything sort of else come into place. I'm not a master about it. I don't claim to be a master about it. I don't claim to have it all figured out or have it nailed or anything like that. What I'm saying has been from my experience, which is 19 and a half years now, as well as stuff I've read, books, articles, things like that. Tons of videos I've watched, either clips on YouTube or actual, full, this person's hour-long video or 5 video series of this other thing, or it's been talking and being trained by my teacher, his 2 teachers, other teachers and practitioners I've talked to, just teaching, and the questions I've been asked while teaching, the insights other people have had, and I've kind of been like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Thank you. That I've got while teaching and stuff like that too. So when I'm saying this, I admit it's not because I'm going to sit here and say I've mastered it, but it's reoccurring sort of ideas from other people who are better than I am at it, as well as other people, having discussions, better than me, sort of my level, and then underneath, however my journey's been. So, Grass Bird's Tail, Grass Sparrow's Tail, whichever you want to do, from Yang Style, just the upper body bit, everything all put together, everything all connected, Penglu Jian, and how to kind of get into it. So, we're going to go right from hold the ball. So I'm going to start with my right side. If you're playing the long form, if you're playing the long form, if you're playing the regular from the 13, the 16, the 49, let alone the long form Yang style, you're only ever going to play it right side. I tend to use the 13 and the 16 both ways, so I'll play it, the regular way and come in, and then when I get done with that, the closing of that is now the opening for turning and doing it the other way to mirror it. If you do it one side, you should do it on the other. For all those of you who didn't think algebra was ever going to come back, here's one way it is, besides the fact that it teaches you how to think in certain ways with it. So just because maybe you're not doing the actual formulas in math doesn't mean you haven't been trained to think. Math is good for you. So, but I will show both sides and kind of how to even just play it on its own. But from the long form, you're coming in, starting like the beginning. It's the very beginning. You start in with the one pung. You come in, hold the ball, and this comes up, like we talked about before. Like you got a big belly, comes up around. So it comes up. Now we haven't done some of the connections of the transitions. So the connection with this is your bottom hand here. This time it's my left. Turns like you're turning a doorknob, while the top hand opens and flips. So both hands work together, same time. And it's still, like everything else in the internals, being led from here. So that, you don't want to sit here and do one of those with it. It's in, but it flips. Now, this has a very nice, oh, this looked weird. This has a very nice thing that it kind of has a proportion for an arm bar. So you have someone here, you can flip them over. Look, you got their hand here. You can twist that over, turning their arm this way. This flips. So their arm flips. Elbow up. You get that nice and locked out. And you can move. And since you're moving with the whole body, not only the whole body pushing, but the hips turning, that gives you greater control with it. So we start with pung. We're going into lu. So it comes here. Both hands flip. So this hand kind of opens and flips. Bottom hand turns over. Now you're going to see this or something like that. Coming down like this is simplified. This, no good either. So we're here and slight turn. My hips go from straight to 45. My body, my arms come with it. This hand, bottom hand, is going to pull right around to the dantian. This hand is going to go from about shoulder to wrist to finger, or yeah, shoulder and wrist alignment to finger to wrist alignment. And that's about it. You have a little bit of a down angle, not a whole lot. We're not coming in and doing some big thing like that. We come up and over. And this is the transition in yang style you're going to see a lot. When you're doing the brush knees, there's things that, bam, lu, roll back. We got brush knee 2 and turn over, bam, roll back. And it's nice, it goes right into that shoulder, and the other hand can continue up and roll up, which is pretty much what we're going to do when we go from lu, or roll back, to ji. So this hand that pulls in continues up and sets up here at the shoulder. The lead hand, at this point in time, my right, rolls to present the outside of the forearm. Now when I do that, set the hips. Everything now at this point is going to be square to where everything's forward. So hips and shoulders, navel, because again we don't want the chest and the navel to be going in different ways. The thoracic hinge needs to stay where it is. Shoulders and hips, bai hui hui, and everything nice and lined up vertically is going to come back and forward and back and forward. So we come up. So ji, which is press or squeeze, is the sort of the fundamental thing you're going to do for chinna, the seizing, locking sort of thing. So you have one going one way, one going the other, and it squeezes, it presses. So think of like a vice grip. It's got the thing on the table, put the board in there, screw the other stuff in, and squeezes in. One's coming one way, one's coming the other, creates that pressure. That's what we want here. Now, we're not actually touching. I know a lot of stuff people go, here, we're coming towards it. It doesn't actually touch. And my weight's back, and I bring everything together and up. So I'm not actually touching. it comes from back to in, not actually touching. After that, we go into on. So my hands cross, palms flat. What we're doing is like clearing. So it's like passing a guard. We're clearing this off. And this, and I've read in a couple places where actually this, and same thing if we're doing like, I first heard about it with Xingyi. This actual sort of rubbing that we do as we're coming up, we have that with like Santi and splitting fists. You come up and has that rubbing, actually helps create sensitivity with your arms on both ways of it. So you can start building your own sensitivity, even just training on your own. So we wipe down and open. Now, people are going to come in, or people are going to keep in here, something like that. Yang style is a little bit big of a frame. It's supposed to be kind of big frame. I will do this sometimes. I've seen other people do it where Chen's like really big, Yang's maybe medium to big, and then like the Wu's or Sun is small. My usual thing for it is, Chen, I'll come up past the face and past the groin. I forget which Chen said that. There was something I saw where one of the Chen family was saying like that's kind of the thing for it. With my Yang style might be shoulders, maybe a little bit higher, and then around the hips, maybe not quite as up to the face or down to the groin. My Sun style's almost within my shoulder and hip range. But what we want from here, we want to be able to clear. I think I talked about this on the other one too. So my wrists are just to the outside of the shoulders. Now, I still have that space. With all these, I have that fist space between my arm. Oh, there's a hole there, and my hands are cold. Whew, wasn't ready for that. My arm and, the torso. There's that fist space. So I'm not collapsing in, and I'm not super high out, because this is too much tension here in the shoulders and the arms, separating the arms out from the whole system. I'm just enough. So now, if someone's coming in and like coming in to push you or grab you or something like that, what you're doing is your hands come up on the inside and open them. Yang style likes to open the opponent, so we open them. So now if they got their hands doing this, it's shooting off back behind us. If they keep coming, at least we're open, and then we can, if we need to do something like that and change it up. Now again, this isn't Yang style. That's more simplified or something else. Coming in and doing these big wavy things, it's not Yang style. It's almost like we did here, where I come in shoulders, or wrists or shoulders height, fingers are shoulder height, and as I push, I come back up. There is a small circle, and it does come down and it does up. It doesn't have a huge big thing and then launch. It doesn't do any of that. It comes in, we open up, we get underneath. We're gonna Yang style wants to keep you level, but the energy does come underneath the person because there is an uprooting with it as well. There's an uprooting and pushing it like you're pushing a car. So it's not, this anyway is a strike. It's not a push. Tui, as we get Tui show for push hands, is still a little bit smaller. You'll see that like in Chen style. Or I know Sun, I would imagine the Wus probably have it too. We have in here open and push. Now I think I had to have talked about this before because I mention this all the time. The meat part of the palm, you want to have it, you're not in here and then pushing here. You're not trying to weirdly hug over or anything like that. You want to put it, after you open, you come in, you want to get it about even with this bit here. So this bit here, where the sort of pec goes into the deltoid, there's a little hollow in there. You see how my hand kind of sinks in there or anything? I'm not a big guy or anything, so there's not a lot to kind of sink into, but it does kind of sink because that's a hollow. And then you can feel, if you really get in there, you can feel in to the shoulder joint back in here, and it's kind of hollow in here. That's where you want your palms. There's other reasons for it. This can be, good or ill and different things, but that's kind of where you want to sit your palms. So when you're back and sit and push forward, that's what you're pushing on the opponent. And again, you want to use your body as the sort of framework for it. So you learn just your own proportions and you learn how the whole body goes together. So if we come out of, hold the ball, sorry. Hold the ball, we come up, pung, slight turn with the body, flip the arms, roll back. That bottom hand continues up. The right hand flattens. Set the hips and press. Palms flat. Wipe down the arms. Open. Sit and push through. And then you can repeat that. So you can bring it back in. Hold the ball. Pung. Loop. See. Remember, breathe. So we breathe in as we gather and breathe out. Exhale when you express. So let's get a couple other little angles for this here too. So one more, I'm going to do both sides front, and I'm going to do sort of profile-y bit for it too. So we have pump, loop, chi, on. So I'm going to switch sides here, so I'm going off to the left, but it's still ward off. Roll back. Press. Push. So some profile ones for it too. Right side. Left side. I'm going to do the other side too here. Both right and left. Good. So the upper body bit, just sort of showing how to connect everything together. Grasp bird's tail or grasp sparrow's tail from Yang style Tai Chi Chuan. I like to think about it in terms of breaking it down in fundamentals as much as you can. So if someone said, you know, you're only allowed to play, I don't know what weird sort of pseudo post-apocalyptic nonsense would say this, but just randomly suppose, thought experiment. Someone said you can play one posture from your Taiji, whether it be Yang or Chen or Sun, only one posture. It's all you're allowed to play. I don't know how they enforce it or anything. It's beside the point. It would be grasp bird's tail. It's almost like 4 parts. Probably do that so you can see it. 4 parts into one, and it again goes in, practices that fundamental parts of the energies, and it gets the martial applications. You can really I mean, it's almost like a mini tiny little routine in the routines, even just by itself. So that's it for the arms bit for Grasp a Bird's Tail. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And next up will be the probably final video. I'm just going to say it is. Yeah, it probably is. Final video in this little playlist for Grasp Bird's Tail. We'll conclude it and show a little bit more what's going on with the legs and how to kind of make stepping with that too. So thank you, and I will see you soon.